specifically from the Bad Batch. So he has the cloak that he wears when he meets the gang. And for comparison's sake, I've grabbed my older Captain Rex, which, still by the way, I have no idea how the visor broke, or the rangefinder, and I was never able to find it. I was gonna 3D print a replacement, but I have a couple of archive Captain Rexes on order, so I decided just to wait until those come in and swap out the helmet. But I have a mirror for comparison's sake to the new Bad Batch version, which does look a bit different. So here he is in the box. You can see his head skull peeking underneath the helmet. And he has two DC-17 blasters. There's the art on the side. Shall we read the back here? Clone Captain Rex served the Republic during the Clone Wars. He viewed military service as an honor, and he always completed his mission. So, I think the main difference is some of the paint. You get a visor, or the whatever this thing is called. I always forget. And I think it's actually missing the shoulder pauldron underneath the cloak here, but we'll check that out in a second. I'll go ahead and unbox this guy, and we'll do the review and the comparison with the old Rex, so be back in a second. Okay guys, I'm back. I removed Captain Rex from the box. So, thank you, box. You have served your purpose. Let's check out the figure here, and we'll also keep the second one, or I guess the original one, on hand for comparison's sake. Let me move in the camera for you guys here. That's a bit better. Okay, so first impressions are he generally looks good in hand. I am actually really digging this sort of the cloak, or whatever, poncho, whatever you want to call it. He only had this in the episode for like a few minutes right when he met them, and then he took it off for the rest of the episode, so it's not a huge part of his look, but I still think it looks pretty dang cool. There's actually a lot of really nice detail work and weathering into this thing, and it sits really well. So like generally my feeling on soft goods is that face, and the thread count, it's too coarse and it looks weird. But I gotta say, I am quite happy with this soft good, so at least that's good. I think it's like a very unique look, It doesn't feel like a rehash or just a retooling. It feels somewhat unique. But anyways, let's check out the head sculpt. And I think it's the same. It might be a little bit different. I hate to say it, guys, but I think I like the older head sculpt better, if only because they used matte paints. I think the new version is just way too shiny. So, I guess that's something to note. I'm actually kind of curious now if the archive run of this guy is going to have the same shiny face like this one, or if they're going to use the old matte paints. That's very interesting. Somewhat disappointing that. God, how old is this figure? Maybe 5 years, or at least a couple years old. I don't know exactly when. But the paint just looks better, admittedly. So, that's something to note. The sculpt looks about the same, it's just that shiny paint doesn't look super great. Helmet-wise, I think the sculpt is the same. So, I do like both of these. I really like that they give you the visor on this one. I think that looks great. The older one definitely has much more complete weathering. The weathering goes all the way around the back, and this one seems to be straight up missing the gray area back here. So, I think this one's a worthwhile addition, but I also really like the sort of gold accents on the weld here that this one just doesn't have, the old one. So, I gotta say, I really like the new visor, but I kinda gotta give it to the old one again. As far as paint applications go, I do think the old one is maybe a little bit too weathered. So, this one, I think it's still good, but the old one maybe looks a little better. Okay, let's check out the rest of the figure here. You probably can take off this poncho if you try really hard. Let's see if there's an easy way to get it off here. I don't think so. I don't want to rip it or anything, so I think it's meant to be left on. At least it doesn't seem like Hasbro's giving you an easy way to take it off, so that being said, you can tell that there is no pauldron. So the shoulder piece right here is missing on the new one, which I don't think is that huge of a deal because the poncho is removable, so it doesn't seem like that big of a deal breaker to me. Let's see, so check out the arms here. Really like the detailing all up and along the arms. Same here. Compared to the old one. Yeah, so I gotta say, I do like the new one more with the arms. The check marks and the tallies look much cleaner. More, sort of attention to detail in the lines, and they look less coarse, so the new one is improved as far as that goes, which is good. Let's see here. Under the poncho. Same weld marks, updated weld marks as the helmet. I'll have to check. Maybe that's more screen accurate. I seem to remember there are some like tones of like gold brownie, and this is more accurate, but I'll have to check some screenshots. I don't think either of them looks bad. I think the older one kind of pops more. So I'll have to check which is more accurate. And then legs, they look pretty similar. It's kind of reverse on the legs here, whereas the new helmet goes sort of less weathering. It seems like the legs go way more weathering. So, kind of interesting there. And then there's more check marks. So, it's also, I think, worth noting that the new one is sort of a whole different shade of white. It's especially apparent on the helmets here. And then, you can also tell if we just put their arms, like it's just a different shade of white. This one's more of a pure white, whereas this is kind of an off-white or more of a cream color. It seems in general, I actually kind of prefer the older one in a few ways. The head sculpt is better. I think I like the look of the helmet better with sort of the weathering all the way around, whereas this weathering kind of stops in the back. That being said, I do think that this figure does have some nice new additions to make it justify the purchase if you find it for retail and you already have this guy. So I think the poncho adds a really unique look. And I love the fact that you have the visor. I don't actually remember if he had the visor in the Bad Batch. He certainly did in the Umbara arc. And I think the only problem might be it doesn't actually look that bad. I was gonna say maybe the helmet would look ridiculous because of the different colors, but in all honesty, it actually doesn't look bad at all. And I actually think that looks really awesome. Look at that. That's awesome. I love the visor down look. Let's see if the old Rex helmet fits on the new. Yeah, I don't want to force it in because I don't want to loosen it up, but that one slid on way too easy. So I think the head might be very slightly different, or perhaps the size of the hole in the helmet is different. I think it's also worth noting that in the old Rex, you can sort of hide the chin quite well. But in the new one, it's actually kind of bad. You can't really seem to hide the chin. Sometimes you can play with it. But I actually don't have good luck with that on this guy, which is kind of sad. It's a little bit better, but you can clearly see his chin there, whereas in this guy, not so much. does look a bit more textured and interesting, but it's not like night and day. So there's that. Okay, let's test articulation on the new guy. Let me just take off the helmet here. Plenty of head swivel. And the neck joint is a little unsightly. The old one does not have that. Well, it does, but it's black instead of this guy, which is actually kind of strange that it's a bit different there. Arm goes up to there. Actually, a lot of articulation in the elbow there, so that's quite good. I don't think. Actually, it might be the same. Yeah. So that appears to be the same. Torso swivels quite a bit. Tons of thigh articulation and tons of knee articulation. So, articulation for this guy is quite good. I believe it's actually probably. Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. So, articulation for both of these is pretty much the same. So at least that's good. Let me pop off the helmet of this guy again. So, anyways, closing thoughts here. I admittedly think that they did a bit of a better job on the old Captain Rex, to be perfectly honest. I think the paint application on the old one is way better, particularly just the fact that they use matte paints instead of the shiny paint here. Obviously this figure's missing the pauldron, but that's not a huge deal because of the poncho. And it's sort of a different shade of white, but maybe you could explain that because he's been through a lot since the Clone Wars, so maybe his armor's just gotten dirtier. That's kind of a reasonable explanation, but admittedly don't like the way that looks in the back at all. It's just so blank. So, I guess final thoughts. There are features, worth picking this guy up for a reasonable price. Like the visor and the poncho. If you're into collecting clones or Bad Batch figures or Clone Wars figures, I do think, I wouldn't say just pass this guy up immediately, but I will say I do prefer the older one, and hopefully the archive run of him that's coming out in a few months is mostly, that keeps the paint and everything from the older one, because it's definitely a great figure. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like the matte paint or the shiny paint more? Which helmet do you want more? I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying this is a bad figure. Admittedly, I probably would have had more praise for it if I just left this guy, if I just left this guy out and reviewed this in a vacuum. I think it's sort of on par with figures today, and I think that the soft good here looks great. Honestly, gotta say, one of the best soft goods I've seen in a Black Series figure. But there are aspects of it, like the face and the helmet that are just better on the old figure, so final verdict. If you're a fan, I'd recommend picking it up. If you have the old one, you can probably pass. So, let me know what you guys think. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye.